He's had a string of 5 top 10s in a row. Bummer he's out today.
Yeah, that streak is over, but he'll get a chance to start it again in 2 weeks when we go to Nashville. Crew's going to have some work to do. Now there is Brian Scott as he has made it back to pit road, and they can't work on the car under the red flag situation, so they had to stop. Let's take another view.
You can see Scott Wimmer following him right here. Brian Scott, car goes by on the outside, but man, he gets out of the throttle way early. You're really early. I don't know if some kind of problem that he had or if he was possibly trying to go to pit road there.
Boy, that stacks up fast, too. Like Stephen Wallace is, a fast racetrack, and you don't have a lot of time to react to that.
Laps at 120 miles an hour. Let's get more on the 11, Vince Welch.
Well, there you see Brian Scott sitting in the pits and a lot of damage to that race car. And just as DJ mentioned, he was coming to the pits. He had had a vibration and reported it to his crew chief, Bill Wilburn, just moments before that they had a bad vibration. They were trying to get him to pit lane and just didn't get there in time. As you said, it stacks up in a hurry. A lot of damage to several race cars in that situation.
He was running 13th at the time and then moving towards the front. A lot of cleanup going on in turns 1 and 2. The red flag is out here at Bristol after 90 of 300 laps. Stay with us. We'll take a break for a moment. When we come back, we'll update you and get this race started once again. Hey, I want to remind you, Saturday night showdown at Bristol with the legends of the sport, 5:30 Eastern on ESPN2. We've got Harry Gant, Charlie Glatchback, Jimmy Hensley, Jack Ingram, Dave Marcus, L.D. Ottinger, who did really well last year. Sterling Marlin won it last year, and we've got David Pearson and Cale Yarborough. And we're under a red flag situation. You saw the shot there of Jeff Bird in Victory Lane. We want to send our best to him. He is fighting cancer, and the president and general manager here at Bristol is missed. Let's also talk about the calendar, because NHRA, the 4 wide nationals, that's right, 4 cars at a time, going to be going down the track. Qualifying's next Saturday, 7 Eastern. Finals next Sunday at 5 Eastern on ESPN2. The IndyCar Series, the IZOD IndyCar Series, visits St. Petersburg next Sunday at 3:30 Eastern. We'll be on ABC. And then our next stop on the Nationwide Series will be at Nashville in a couple of weeks, 3:30 Eastern on ESPN, April 3rd. So that gets you caught up on the calendar. And right now we're trying to get caught up on the mess that was created down in turns 1 and 2 after a 3-car crash involving first Brian Scott, then also the 16 of Colin Brown and the 66 of Stephen Wallace. And you can see that the oil Dave Burns is caught up with Colin Brown.
Yeah, he's just been released from the infield care center. First of all, are you okay? And then what happened?
Yeah, I'm fine. You know, it's a bummer for the number 16 Conway Freight Ford Fusion guys. Thought we had a decent car. We were just kind of minding our own business, and I don't know what happened. The 11 got turned around, I guess, and you know, I tried to judge which way he was going to go, and ended up hitting him. And then I just got hit from behind, and that was that. So definitely disappointing day. I feel bad tearing up these guys' race car, but man, it was going to be okay.
Yeah, you were struggling a little bit there at the start with your race car anyway. What was the plan when you first got a chance to pit?
Well, we were going to make a little bit of a wedge adjustment, try to tighten our car up a little bit right in the center of the corner, but man, I thought we were going to have an okay day.
All right, glad you're okay. Colin is out, guys, and that's good news.
All right, thanks for the update, David. As this red flag, you can see, is up to 7.5 minutes with Casey Kane, our race leader currently, followed by Kyle Busch and Greg Biffle. Now, we want to go back a little bit because Kelly Byers, of course, a young driver that we talked about having a great opportunity here to potentially score his first win, but there's a lot of things you got to learn about Bristol. Here's what we mean.
To lose some brake.
Do what?
Do you have any brake duct openings we can open up in the front?
No, sir. We don't use brakes at Bristol. Get your foot off of. Get off the gas early, roll through the center of the corner, get back on the gas, make the straightaway longer. Entirely too much brake if you're losing brakes.
That's definitely pop fury. I've heard that before. But folks, what Tony's trying to do, instead of opening these brake ducts up and letting the air flow through here, he's trying to keep them taped up to keep downforce, the nose of the car planted. But the guys that use the brake ducts, they use fans to accelerate the airflow to come in here to cool the brakes. But I guarantee you, I've heard Darrell Waltrip holler in there before, hey, my brakes are going away. And before I could get a word out of my mouth, the big man, Junior Johnson, get your foot off that brake pedal, boy. And that's what Pops is telling him right now.
All right, from the Craftsman Tech Garage. And Junior Johnson's going to be the pace car driver for tonight's Legend race at 5:30. All right, we're still under this red flag situation, so let's squeeze in another commercial break after this message and a word from your ABC stations.
Slugfest at Bristol, Tennessee.
Some confusion of where the pit road was open.
Over the radio, we were saying that pit road was open, but the signal that the driver's seat was still red.
Nascar, please help us out. That's twice I've gotten stumped today because of lap cars.
Carl Edwards takes the victory.
Man, that is awesome.
Well, pit road is not open right now at the Scott's Turf Builder 300 as we have just gotten word that we're going back to yellow flag conditions here on lap 91 of 300 at Bristol Motor Speedway. Stop number 4 on the 2010 NASCAR Nationwide Series Tour. So we were going to try and talk to our in-race reporter, but now that they're back underway, we ought to let them go to pit road and take care of business. Yeah. And we got some takers. Here comes Kasey Kahne as he leads him down. First stop is going to be on the 12 car of Justin Allgaier. Vince.
Yeah, just tight, dead in the center, and it just keeps getting tighter and tighter. They're going to make a half round on the right side track bar adjustment and a slight air pressure adjustment. 4 tires. Jamie Little.
And Greg Biffle just a bit free in. He's been moving forward. Track bar adjustment down. 4 tires. Fill it up with Sunoco fuel is the call.
Jamie, for Carl Edwards, just a hair snug in the middle of the corner, tight off the corner. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment that Drew Blickensderfer said we made yesterday and helped the car. We think it should help again. Doc?
Kasey Kahne, likewise, free on entry, tight in the middle. They're going to go down a ½ pound air pressure on both left side tires to give him some side bite so he can be able to go downstairs and use the bottom groove. Likewise, the 18, Kyle Busch down and away. They were going to make an air pressure change. Kyle said he couldn't get the car going on a restart with low air pressure. Also, Kyle cannot run the bottom grooves, and the car is terrible. I have no bite downstairs. They're hoping the air pressure will help that. Guys?
All right, thanks, Doc. I appreciate all the updates. As let's check the race off pit road. As you can see, Kyle picks up 1 spot over Kasey Kahne, and Brad and Edwards also pick up a spot at the expense of Greg Biffle. So it should be another interesting restart as we get ready to go back to green flag racing here at Bristol. All right, 4 cars did not pit, so let's set it for you. Scott Wimmer's going to be on point. Kelly Byers second, Coleman Presley third, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. fourth. Then it's Kyle Busch. As we go back to green flag racing, Wimmer picks the high side. Now remember, these guys have been on those tires since lap 55. This is lap 96.
Down 3 wide off 2.
Ooh, it's going to be tight down here. Hang on. Let's get you updates also as we're back to green flag racing quickly. Morgan Shepherd got a penalty for too many men over the wall. We'll get you the waiver rounds as quickly as we can. Nemechek, Mike Wallace, Derek Cope, Kenny Wallace, Josh Wise, and Andy Ponstein. So now you're up to date, and we're green flag racing with a log jam.
Yeah, and this is where these guys really have to show some patience. Kyle Busch caught down on the inside. Looks like the upper side is moving a little bit faster. He'll have to really be patient right now.
Yeah, because once you're pinned down there, unless the guy in front of you moves, you're not going anywhere.
You can see he's behind Coleman Presley in the 23, who's done a really nice job.
Yeah, but he doesn't have fresh tires like these cars do, and he's going to get freight train. You see now, Joey Logano making the pass. Now he finds a hole to get up right in front of Greg Biffle.
Yeah, Kyle squeezes in front of the 27. Now it's Brad Keselowski's turn to try and find a spot.
Good luck.
Whoa, Coleman almost slid up into the 18. They managed to skate through that one. Now you'll see the 22 duck up to the high side. As here comes Keselowski in front of Trevor Bayne. And oh, Bayne goes a little high. But Allgaier cannot take advantage. Neither can Harvick in the 33.
While this is going on, Dale Jr. has 2 cars up in the top 2.
Some great side-by-side short track racing, Bristol style. As there you can see now, as it is the 27 trying to hold off Brad Keselowski. Now, let's go up to the front. And Scott Wimmer doing very well, Jamie Little.
Well, he